it. Hello, my little egg McMuffins. How are you all? Welcome to the news and views with the EV Café. 30 minutes of what's happening in zero emission transport with expert analysis from the EV Café crew. And good gracious, what's going on in Sarah's room? Oh my lordy. Now we've got Pam from Power, and we've got Laura McAteer.
Hello.
Greetings. Hello. Lovely to see you. This is when the EV Café news works best, when we have guests. Anyway, coming
They're
up.
going now.
Are they going?
Yeah.
Oh, bless them. Okay. Well, and Paul Kirby joins us. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning.
Morning,
Just in
Sarah.
time.
You've been having a party.
Late.
I'm not late.
Oh.
And Sam, you're struggling with a little bit of a pulled muscle, if you'll pardon the expression.
Yes, I pulled a muscle in my back playing squash, John. So I'm recovering slightly. Yeah.
I'm going to try and avoid all Greg Wallace references, and let's move on. Because coming up, a lack of UK government incentives apparently stalls EV progress. Ford's UK boss demands taxpayer incentives of thousands of pounds to drive the electric future. High-speed charging technology powers safer new zero-emission London buses. And nearly half of councils achieve EV charger compliance. I think Paul's just fallen off his chair.
Again.
Oh, give me strength.
And Altilium begins recycling EV battery waste. So, grab your cuppa, plug in to what's been happening in clean transport this week. But first, last night it was the 20th anniversary Green Fleet Awards, sponsored by Drax Electric Vehicles and hosted by yours truly, with the brilliant comedian Gary Delaney. Sarah popped up on stage to join me to talk about the EV rally of the UK, the big one, as well as Scotland and Wales. More on that in a minute, because there's some excellent news for next year. But we want to pay tribute to a few of our friends that scooped up awards. Massive congratulations to Webfleet, Europcar, and Kirsty Pendleton of the AA and Naomi Nye of Drax, who were inducted as EV champions, and the utterly stupendous Iveco E-Daily, which they can all use to carry home their awards. Utterly brilliant. Paul, you were dancing the night away when I left. What was your highlight?
Oh, what was my highlight? Do you know what it is? This event is really about the people. I love the fact that Chris and Julie Ramsey got the achievement of the year, sort of the North to South Pole. I mean, it does need shouting out, doesn't it? Really, yeah. in this scenario. And it was just beautiful to see so many people with that single purpose in mind and having a little bit of fun, just a little bit.
Yes, and there were beautiful people in evidence. Sam, resplendent in salmon pink. Sam.
Beautiful people and Sam in the same sentence. Really? Do we have to?
You seem to be having a ball, Sam.
Yeah, it was good. It was good fun. I think one of my takeaways of the Green Fleet Awards was its 20th anniversary, and at one point they had, I can't remember if it was between starters and main course or something. There was a presentation flashing up on the screen behind you, John, on stage, and it was showing all of the timestamps almost of a picture from every year. And I think I've been to most of them, and it really highlighted to me the journey that we've been on and the different people that have been involved along the way. So yeah, it's been a long time that we've been working on these things and celebrating successes of people in our industry, and long may it continue, because these are really powerful things. And I think for younger, smaller startup businesses as well, or individuals that get that little bit of recognition, means the absolute world. And I think that's, as it very much did for me 15 years ago as well. So it's really, really valuable, I think, to celebrate those people and give them a good leg up before Christmas.
Indeed, and you got a good leg up, Sam, because you were mentioned 3 times without even winning an award or stepping on the stage for your heroic efforts on the 2-wheel motorbike, on the EV rally. Outstanding performance. And Sarah, you were resplendent in green as you came and shared your thoughts with us about Well, good. I'm glad you didn't have to take it back to the shop quite yet.
Label is still on, but
It was a good old night, wasn't it?
it was. And to second that point about companies rising up, I got to sit next to a table and just listening in on their conversations about where they've come and where they're going, what they've got planned, and just people just reunited. That's what Greenfleet does. It reunites the mission. It reunites people that haven't seen each other for a year, and just looking out, seeing you on stage in your lovely velvet suit with your wonderful matching bow tie, and looking at people's reactions as you spoke. That was my highlight, John.
Oh, bless you. You are just too kind. I suggest you take more meds.
Pay me later, yeah? Cool.
Right, let's get on with the news. Reduced government incentives aimed at supporting motorists purchasing electric vehicles have stalled the UK's progress in switching to EVs. PwC's latest e-readiness survey ranked the UK 11 out of 13 European countries in its ability to facilitate a full move to EVs, with an overall rating of 2.4 out of a possible 5. The UK is ranked 17th globally out of a total sample size of 26 major countries. The UK has lost ground in its overall e-readiness against 2023 levels, driven by a decrease in government incentives, PwC say. However, demand for EVs was shown to be increasing slowly in the UK. The UK's e-readiness relative to other European nations has weakened since 23, where it was sat joint fourth. Now, we've had a bit going on in our country, but I'm not sure that the reality of what I'm seeing and the report match up. It feels like, and maybe it's because I've got the rose-tinted glasses of last night, but we've got an industry that is massively focused on delivering excellence in our field, and that we are making a difference. Sarah, am I reading the market differently and wrong?
I don't think so. I think PwC are very reputable. You can understand their figures. I'm pleased to see we're at 17 because we have climbed that rank. Actually, that table's gone up for us. Readiness to go EV, a strange way of putting it. Is that individual car drivers? Is that businesses? What is that? So if it's everything, then I can see why. But I think continuing to focus on facts and stats, but always triangulating those with other facts and stats, because they never tally. So you kind of have to do a finger in the air sometimes. But I don't feel like it's misrepresented.
I wonder if, Sam, this is something to do with potentially DNO connections and getting energy supply and those sorts of factors that we don't immediately think of that might pull us down the rankings, rather than us having the vehicles available and having drivers wanting to buy them.
Yeah, it might do. I mean, John, there's so many different variables, isn't there? I mean, like I echo Sarah's point around PwC is a very reputable company in regards to this data and analytics, and I've worked with them many times over the years. However, it's outdated. It's outdated before it's published, and that's part of the problem here for me. Is that I've seen news this morning that registrations of electric cars grew over 50% in November. 1 in 4 vehicles in November was electric. So it's very evident that the market is moving at such pace that these reports, as valuable as they are for that point in time, don't necessarily reflect this time right now. So I think it's important that we keep abreast of the data that's coming almost by the day, that keeps us abreast of what the status is of the market, because reports that were very, I'm sure, very accurate, but look at a reflection of 22 versus 23 doesn't really help us in 24 going into 25, does it?
It's very fair. And Paul, I mean, we've had a story that's coming up in a minute. Ford saying that they need more incentives to drive activity in the marketplace, yet the figures from the SMMT suggest that sales are buoyant.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why anybody's surprised that we've got 25% in December for cars, because manufacturers are going to be looking to get back towards their targets, mitigating the fines that are sort of 3 years away, really. But they're going to look for those end of year boosts. So it doesn't surprise me. I think Ford's comments possibly. I saw the Capri yesterday. Well, isn't it an Explorer? I mean, isn't it a Mustang Mach-E? I mean, look, 3 vehicles in the same sort of genre of vehicle. I mean, come on, guys, you know, have a bit of imagination, kind of get something smaller, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And of course, the van sector is not moving anywhere like the sort of car sector. So we're not seeing those big spikes. Although I haven't checked the numbers for November, but the reality is we've got challenges there. So I mean, maybe it's looking at the wider piece, the wider electrification. Have we reached some sort of limit in terms of that progress, where we need the DNO upgrades, we need all the other elements to move forward. So, but I think we're in pretty good shape, and I do think that there's an open-mindedness within DFT and the government. There is the right kind of attitudes in a lot of the manufacturers, but you know, we are struggling a little bit, I think, and there's a mindset piece that needs to take it to the next level.
Yeah, talking of the Capri, it reminded me of a rumor that I have seen this week, and it is just a rumor, that the Ford Escort Mark 1 is going to be used as the basis for a new electric vehicle from Ford. Don't know if that's actually going to happen, just a rumour, but if it does, oh, take my money. Now then, should we give
As long as it looks like one, John.
Yeah, precisely. Because the Capri doesn't look like a Capri. The
Not
Mustang
even
doesn't look like a Mustang.
slightly.
No.
Not even slightly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ford need to have a quick look at their colleagues at Renault and have a look at the Renault 5
Yeah.
and go, that's how you do it.
Yes,
That is how you do it, because a small vehicle is what the world needs, right? They've done really well with the Escort and the Fiesta, not the Escort, the Focus and the Fiesta. Why are they not building something for the masses?
Yeah.
Right. Let's do some shout outs. Sam's favourite bit as we get stuck into who's actually in the house today. And at 8:26 this morning, Daryl Sharp. He was on the school run.
8:26.
Yes, but he's come up with a brilliant phrase. The EV Café, 30 minutes of funner. Oh,
Nice.
yes!
Give that man a
Love that.
raise.
Yeah, that's staying.
we
Economy
block
trucks. Economy. Steve Wart. Steve, hello, my friend. Lovely to know your name. Thank you kindly. Carl Elliott's in the house. Happy Saturday Eve, as always. Scott Edie. Morning. Teresa Swift. Dev Chakravarti. Absolutely. Don't know what that means. Yeah, she's going to be
EV
having a chat with Dev.
Musings.
EV Musings doesn't appear on my list, mate, but okay. Let's say
Right
hello to
there.
Gary Comerford. Right, okie dokie. Matthew Leng from sunny Suffolk. Now I've got EV Musings. Thank you, Paul, for yes, pointing it out too soon, prematurely, not the first
Oh,
time.
no, he's on my list higher up. There you go. Gary Comerford, you're on my list, mate, up the top.
Ron Godfrey, Belinda Guy, morning. Andrew Clark, that's a nice name to see. Jamie Fretwell, looking fabulous last night. Do you know he did 2 Christmas things last night? 1 awards, 1 drinks thing, about 40 miles apart. Absolute legend. Michael Barton, he's in Bristol. Toby Hiles, looking forward to Christmas. Stuart Humphrey. Now, Stuart, you're a wonderful chap. Michelle Breffett, was fabulous to see you last night and spend a little bit of time chatting. Rob Dustin, he's in London, not Paul. Pam Hanlon, she must be feeling a bit rough this morning because she partied. Ian Roberts, morning. George Thurman. Now, we saw George last night, resplendent in sequins, and it was marvellous to see. Lloyd Allen, he's from Bristol. Do you know, Sarah, how tall is Lloyd Allen?
He's
He's got to
very
be
tall.
6'7". He's got to be 6'7". Yeah.
Mahusive.
Yeah.
Talking
he's
of
awesome.
Mahusiv, here's a massive personality in our world, Tom Middleditch from Europe Car. Hello, mate. Lovely to see you. Yes, I think it's fair to say Europe Car did win last night, and we were so chuffed. Mark Main, morning, my people. Morning, my friend.
Another big fella.
Seppings. Oh, he's huge. Richard Seppings, morning from us at Elect Road. I'm not sure we've had you before, Richard, if you'll pardon the expression. Do come again. Marvin Samuels. Hello, Marv. Lovely to see you. And there he is. It's the man. It's DEV. Chakravarti. Excellent. Now, I'll tell you who I haven't seen is Peter Heath. And he's got nice
Great
teeth.
teeth.
Oh, now then. Lloyd Allen, confirmed 6'5.5". Can anybody beat that? And Jennifer Smith, bonjour. And wonderful to see you. She's very happy with her used EV Mini Bit scared about battery degradation, but I choose to live for today. There is nothing to fear, Jennifer. We actually know a few people in the industry. If you have any concerns, let us know. We'll deal with that stuff. Let's move on. Oh, is that Peter Heath?
I
Good
don't
morning.
know. He's LinkedIn
Yeah.
user, maybe.
Okay. Good morning from leafy sunny Wiltshire. Wish I was partying with you all last night. I think it's Peter Heath.
Peter
He
Heath.
got nice
Great
tea.
team.
Right, all right, let's move on, shall we? Ford's UK boss has called on the government to provide consumer incentives of up to £5,000, as I mentioned earlier, per car. Only cars, Paul, sorry, mate. To boost demand for electric vehicles and help the industry hit challenging climate targets. Lisa Brankin, chair of Ford UK and Ireland, said that direct support for consumers to purchase zero-emission vehicles is crucial if the industry is to remain viable and hit challenging net zero milestones. Brankin states the number one thing we want is direct customer incentives, perhaps a scrappage scheme, and we have been calling for a cut in VAT on electric vehicles. Something that will incentivise customers to buy EVs and incentivise all the van and car sales that we badly need in the UK. Now then, Paul, I'm going to come to you first because this just feels like self-serving nonsense. In that we've got one in 4 vehicles being sold are electric, and Ford are banging the drum saying, "Oh, we need more government money, more government money." Yeah, they want it, but is it going to help consumers at the end?
I refer the right honourable gentleman to my earlier response in that build something that people want. Don't build 3 things that are broadly the same thing. Also, so in the van world, we recognise that Ford, on the day that they launched the Ford E-Transit, they launched it in the UK with 196 range and in the US with the 126 range. Now, I mean, look, you can't do that in 2 different countries. It was 2 different measures, the EPA measure and the WLTP measure. But we recognise that actually they've overinflated their kind of their sort of WLTP, and it's challenging. So communicate well, train your dealers, and build something that people want, and then you won't have quite the problems that you've got. Stellantis seem to be doing okay. They weren't doing quite so well before the electrification piece. Now they're doing really well because they've got the electrification piece quite well with Corsa and all across the range, and the same in the van world. I think it's quite simple.
Is anybody else really enjoying post-party Paul? I am. I'm really, really enjoying post-party Paul.
I think I'd rather listen to Keir Starmer.
Oh.
Scrappage. Is that a thing? Does that really work, or are we just shifting the problem to other countries? Do we just scoop up all the vehicles that are scrapped and send them off to Eastern Europe?
I just, if you go, I'm going to dive in. If you cast your minds back to maybe 2016, when scrappage was a thing, we were seeing people trying to get £8,000 for scrapping a perfectly serviceable, very good vehicle just to get £8,000 off an electric vehicle. And I was like, whoa, guys, this has gone wrong. This isn't what we're going to do in our local authority. Let's not support this. So we did it a different way around. So that's good. But I think people do need incentives, though, because that they're not looking at it as the whole life cost of the vehicle still. That's the rhetoric we're trying to get across. But they're still looking at the ticket price of the vehicle, and then they're seeing headlines around depreciation. One of the vehicles I bought profited massively because I was able to benefit from an incentive, and then I sold it for almost what I paid for it, whereas I'm not sure that's still the market value today. So I think an incentive is a little nudge, a behaviour change nudge. I'm not going to think about it, but maybe it doesn't need to be off the vehicle. Perhaps it could be a deal struck for a certain number of miles or something. But I always think there's a better way of skinning the cat. Sorry, cat.
It just feels to me like wooden dollars. If you've got ZEV mandate suggesting that there will be fines if you don't sell enough electric vehicles, and so you give money to the government, and then you want £5,000 incentives back from the government to a consumer, surely just reduce the cost of the vehicle, incentivise that, rather than pay the fine, and everybody's happy, Sam. Does that make sense to you, or you're the numbers chap? You tell me.
Oh God, I don't know. I think Paul's comment was right, and we said it before in previous news. I think Ford have created 3 SUVs. Why? Make products that people want rather than asking for £5,000 off, VAT off, scrappage schemes. Just get the right product out there, and look at your volumes come up, get the economies of scale, and away you go.
Is this post-party Sam? I mean, what the hell? Agreeing with Paul, our jaws are on the table.
Well, I'm actually agreeing with Paul on the points that he's already repeated of the things that we'd already said. So if that helps.
Well,
No,
I
they were
think
his
I
own.
said my own points, as in they build 3 SUVs and blah blah blah.
Yeah, but we said
Anyway,
that last week.
well, yeah, because I mean it bears repeating, right?
Yeah.
The news is the same news coming out. It's like guys, you just need to get on with it. Get on
You
with
two are the
it.
worst. The absolute
Right,
worst.
anyway, let's call an end to this. There's a heightest discussion going on. Daryl Sharp, 6'5", Andrew Clark, 6'6". Now, I suspect Pam Hanlon is at the other end of that.
I think she's
4'11".
5. I thought she was 5'1". But don't forget Randall, not so tiny Smith, who was on my table last night.
Oh,
the
yeah,
catering
he was
table. He's actually 6'7", and we swapped a shoe at some point in the evening, which is very funny.
So
I'm not sure
it
who's
was
got that
Randall.
photo.
All right, let's get on with the news. New stylish tram-like buses powered by pantographs have been introduced in phases. Have been put out there in
Hey.
phases to one of London's longest bus routes between Crystal Palace and Orpington. The forward-thinking pantograph technology on route 358, there will be a test at the end, so remember that number, allows fast, high-powered charging of the new buses at each end of the 15-mile journey through an arm-like structure attached to the bus roof in as little as 6 minutes. This means drivers do not return to garages to recharge. This also means fewer buses are required on the route, bringing savings that can be invested into other areas of TfL's network, in addition to the benefits of cleaner, greener travel. Now then, it's been done in London, done, brilliant scheme, and works for them. Pantographs are in. Sam, happy days?
I don't know. I've never been I think I've never been a fan of the pantograph methodology, particularly on the motorways, because I think it's a hugely expensive exercise when technology that just powers vehicles and battery electric that gets the distances is better. However, in this case, perhaps it does work. I mean, I think in places where you've got a metronomic route and you know exactly where you're going, you're doing the same thing every day, then you can apply these sort of technologies in such a way that it should make sense. And I think buses is a particularly good environment to test this sort of technology, and I know they've done induction charging in a similar principle in the States. So again, not a fan of induction charging either, but in the buses in America it makes sense because of the metronomic way in which they're being utilized. So I think I'm sure there's scope in it. The fact, as you said, John, they are doing it, I'm very impressed with, because there's too much talk, and if people are actually delivering things, then that's far better. So yeah, maybe it works. But I haven't seen it. But pantographs aren't particularly pretty, are they either? So I'm not quite sure what they look like in the overall landscape.
Scott Eady asks, aren't they trams? No, trams have a continuous electric feed. These charge at either end. So charge before they set off, charge when they get to their destination. So slightly different but similar looking sorts of things, Scott. I'm going to crack on, if you don't mind, because I've got a really interesting story now about councils and chargers.
Can I just say, John?
Go, Paul.
Can I just say? I know this is important. We do need to get on, but I mean, we're doing this in Norway for quite a while. Bus routes, pantographs, it works. And we're also doing the induction charging in taxi ranks where vehicles are stationary for periods of time. All of these things make sense in their niche. But Sam's right, it might not work in one niche, but it does work in another. And we're talking about not the silver bullet, but we are getting silver buckshot. Lots of different little bits that combine to deliver a solution. Anyway.
Scott Eady's just told us he was in the shower.
Vision.
That may take a moment. Right, nearly half of councils in the UK have achieved EV charger compliance, with 47% fully compliant with the new UK government public charge point regulations. According to research by Drax Electric Vehicles, Drax contacted 210 local authorities across the UK, with more than 1 in 5 who responded admitting to zero compliance, while 50 local authorities cited challenges such as funding gaps and technical hurdles. It follows the PCPR regulations coming into force on the 24th of November 2024 to ensure that the experience of consumers using public charge points across the UK is consistent and positive. Fresh regulations include new public charge points of 8 kilowatts and above and all existing charge points of 50 kilowatts and above supporting contactless payment. They must also ensure 99% reliability for rapid charge points and provide a free-to-use 24/7 helpline. In addition, they must use the Open Charge Point Interface, OCPI, for greater accessibility. Now then, in a report from ZapMap, which has come out, charging on the public network remains essential. While 79% of respondents to the ZapMap survey have a dedicated home charger, and that tells a story that most people have home charging as part of their provision of electricity. They don't rely so much on the public charging network. 51% of EV drivers use the public network at least once per month, reflecting the continued importance of public infrastructure. The average rating for public charge point experience was 64 out of 100, suggesting that there is still massive room for improvement. However, 61% of respondents said that public charging infrastructure had improved over the past year. And massive congratulations to GridServe for being the most used public charging network in the UK. Let's go to Sam first. Sam, lots in there. What's your takeaway, apart from GridServe being the most used network?
Yeah, well, we've been the busiest one for years, so it's not a huge surprise, but it's obviously nice to see. But yeah, I mean, the regulations, it's disappointing the percentage that of the councils that aren't compliant with this regulation. It's been coming for a very long time. We've all known about it. So how some are 0% compliance is slightly concerning. But yeah, it's a good step forward, right? Because it helps to create some universality of data and consistency of information back to the people that need it, and therefore it helps to help regulate the continued proliferation of charge points. The 60 something out of 100 isn't a surprise either. We've all got a lot of work to do still. Nothing is perfect, but look at the progress that's been made over the last year or 18 months. It's been staggering, and yet you still got people that stick their hand in, it's not powerful enough, or this didn't work. But just have a look for a second at what we've created. It's never going to be perfect. There's a lot of power still waiting for in a lot of places as well. But the growth is just exponential across the whole industry, and we should be very proud of that.
Absolutely. Sarah, are you seeing an uptick in your business at Paythrough in that the customer experience has now been thrust very much into the forefront of people's minds, and it's got to be better, smoother and more open?
Yeah, some amazing innovation going on in the fintech world. We're actually trying to get EV charging closer to that kind of one-click purchase technology that we experience in our consumer lives. So really enjoying working on those projects. Obviously, contactless is a big thing for us. So I'm looking forward to those charge point operators who want to be progressive with their installation. Just because the regs say it's 8 and above doesn't mean that if we can't help you make a cost model work for under 8 kilowatts, then it's not a bad thing to do, because it increases utilization so much when you can tap and go on a charger. So with lots of technology like one to many, one terminal versus 6 maybe charges, that's something to really think about. What I would say is that data is really solid. Again, really, really big data set that went into those numbers, so they can be trusted. A lot of it strikes me that the ones who went first, the local authority areas who went first, who have now got what we call legacy kit, so 50 kilowatt chargers requiring retrofit of contactless terminals, and a lot of the Scottish network as well, John, and also the Welsh network as well. These are the ones that are kind of making those data skew in their areas because they had early doors investment, and now their equipment isn't as good as we're seeing on the strategic road network. The other thing to point out is just because something's the most used doesn't mean it's the most popular. There's lots of different rankings of all the different charge point operators. Fastned seems to consistently win those kind of popularity contests rather than the utilization contest. So, we wouldn't be where we are today without GridServe and Osprey and Instavolt, who won last night Public Charging Sector of the Year, Service Provider of the Year. Sorry, congratulations to Instavolt too.
Thank you, Sarah. Paul, very quickly, Ian Roberts says the public network needs to become more cost efficient. I found 94 pence a kilowatt last week. We work with AW Energy. We talk about them quite a lot. And they reduced their prices from 79 pence down to 39 pence per kilowatt, and what they found was that their utilization doubled.
Yeah, in fact, they almost eliminated the use of another close by site because their charging was cost effective, and also on renewable energy, directly wired in the very near future to the turbine that's right by there. Cost is a really important thing, and we need to get to all of these stats and numbers and all that good stuff, but the price needs to be kind of to parity, to some, towards the price of home energy, not, but at least below 50p, because then you're competing with petrol and diesel, and of course it doesn't really work. And of course the commercial vehicle, which could end up being very much more dependent, with much less home charging available for the commercial vehicles that go home. It needs to be fit for that purpose as well. So there's a long way to go, but I mean, it is great to see that there is a proliferation of chargers. I would like to be able to turn up and get what they say on the tin, because very often the grid constraints and other bits and pieces, you plug in, to a 350 kilowatt charger and get 60 kilowatts. It's just not quite cricket, especially if you detour to do that and your vehicle is perfectly capable of taking it at that given moment. But there is a journey we're going on, and Sam's right in the sense that we have made incredible progress, and at least we can get charged. So that is good news. But disappointing that 50% are failing or not meeting the regulations. But there we go.
Now then, I would normally give Sam the right to reply, but it's 10:31. We have overrun. I was due to do a story about Altilium recycling batteries. We'll carry that one over to next week. Apologies for that. If you've got any clean transport PR or news stories you'd like us to cover, or perhaps carry on to next week, then please send them to us at hello@evcafe.org. Until next Friday, it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from the brilliant team. Paul, Sam, Sarah, thank you very much. This has been an EV Café production. Other sustainability news services are available, but this is just butter!
358 was the answer.
358.
Yeah, take yourself an EV Café mug. The EV Café is truly blessed to be partnered with the AA, Webfleet, Europcar, Iveco, Drax Electric Vehicles, Sperry, Stuart Science, Allstar, Schneider Electric, Dynamon, and welcome to EV Blocks and AW Energy. Yay! We're the EV Café, supporting the transition to zero emission transport. Stay safe, stay well, and be happy if you can. We'll see you next Friday. Until then,
Thanks,
bye.
John. Bye.
Bye.